Up with KREM, the U.S. border is open to Americans traveling to Canada, but not the other way around. And because of the one-way go-ahead, businesses are still struggling.
Plus, the governor just announced which Washingtonians will be required to take the COVID vaccine for now.
Toxic algae reports in Washington could impede on end of the summer plans. What you need to know before you get out on the water.
And we're going to take you outside today. A little bit of cloud cover as we kick things off, along with some cooler temps, but oh boy, you're going to want today in the days to come.
Up with KREM begins now.
Good morning and thanks for watching Up with KREM with us. I'm Channing Curtis.
Yeah, glad to have you here with us. I'm Tim Pham. We are getting right to breaking news here at 7:30 now. Providence just announced they will be pausing some non-emergency surgeries and procedures.
Now, this is new into our newsroom, of course, but according to a spokesperson for the hospital, the postponement is due to a rise in COVID-related hospitalizations. The change is effective immediately. The hospital says they will work with each patient on a case-by-case basis, though, to reschedule.
Multicare made a similar announcement last week, and a spokesperson told KREM 2 that the pause on some elective surgeries was due to outdoor-related accidents, COVID hospitalizations, and an increase in essential care. Now, in the past week, some hospitals in the inland Northwest have recently been near or at capacity, so a lot of stuff we're tracking here with this. Of course, Kootenai Health also saying that their hospital is also increasing with inpatients in the entire state of Idaho. So again, this is happening at Providence in Spokane. We'll track this throughout the morning for you.
Absolutely.
Meanwhile, the Canadian border opened up to non-essential travel for U.S. citizens, and for some it means seeing family after a long wait. KREM 2 spoke to a family at the border crossing in North Idaho who have been separated for more than a year.
Great. My mom lives up here, so it's been a long time since we've had a chance to see her, and so it'll be nice to spend some time.
Now, before you travel, there are some steps that you need to take. First, travelers must be fully vaccinated for at least 2 weeks before entering into Canada. You must also have your vaccination card or at least a photo of it. You also will need to submit your information ahead of time using the ArriveCan app or website. Well, even though Americans can cross the border, Canadian visitors cannot, at least not until August 21st.
The closure is having massive problems for local shops along the border, and especially places like Samas. It's a city that thrives off of Canadian visitors who buy essentials like gas and milk because it's so much cheaper in the U.S. Dr. Lori Troutman runs the Border Policy Research Institute at Western Washington University, and she says one of the key reasons the border is still closed is America simply isn't ready.
That unlike Canada, the U.S. has not developed a system to use at the land border to screen for travelers' health information. So we couldn't just tomorrow, open the border to healthy travelers. We'd be opening them to all travelers.
Canadians bring more than $150 million to Whatcom County alone each year. The United States could technically open the border to Canadians on August 21st.
The United States and Canada share the longest international border in the world at 5,525 miles. The border touches 13 U.S. states, with Alaska being the longest at 1,538 miles. There are 119 land border crossings between the U.S. and Canada and 13 international ferry crossings. More than 2 million people cross back and forth between the countries each month. And get this, about 90% of the Canadian population lives within a 1-hour drive of the border.
Now, that's why the reopening is such a big deal for tourism in both the United States and Canada. Data from the U.S. Travel Association estimates nearly 21 million Canadians visited the U.S. in 2019, spending about $20 billion.
People looking to travel to Canada by boat will have to wait. And so here's a live look at the Seattle port this morning, because there's some confusion about how the two countries view boat travel. The U.S. considers our terminal in Seattle as a land border. Meanwhile, in Canada, it falls under marine travel.
So the rules for marine travel are different than flying or driving. The Victoria Clipper in Seattle says the confusion and extra weight is just another setback they've faced since the pandemic. The company went from 200 to just 20 employees in the last 17 months. They say their lines have been ringing with people wanting to book and even employees wanting work.
One of the most difficult things, particularly for my employees, that many of them have been trying to hold on so that they come back and work with us. I have folks who have been here for 30 years or more, and so we have a great retention rate and a great sense of family.
So now the Clipper says as soon as they get word they're good to go. It will take 21 days though to get up and running, but they are hiring and preparing for one round trip to Victoria a day.
Now, taking a look at vaccination numbers, Canada is actually ahead of the United States. 71% of Canadians have received at least one dose of the COVID vaccine. That's 58% rather for Americans. British Columbia's Health Minister Adrian Dix says it will be years before anyone without a vaccination is allowed to travel there from outside the country.
So for more details on what you need to know before visiting Canada, we've got answers for you. All you have to do, text the word border to 509-448-2000. We're going to send that link right to your phone. All right, let's talk weather now on this Tuesday. It sounds like, what was it? Motivation Tuesday? No.
What was it? Thankful Tuesday.
Thankful Tuesday
yes, that was
is also
Thankful
trending
Tuesday.
online. So it looks like not everyone thinks Tuesdays are so bad. We like Tuesdays around here.
Yeah, we like Tuesdays. Like we
Wow,
said,
are
Taco
you guys
Tuesdays.
singling me out right now? Am I being
Hey, you know
singled
what?
out?
You singled me out with my yard work.
You did.
So let's go. It's payback right now.
true.
Jeremy
All right.
got on me for not doing my yard work yesterday, but
did.
it's my fault. I admitted it. But you know, it sounds like today's going to be a good day to do some yard work before it gets too hot, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did earlier say Tuesday was the worst day of the week, and I think I'll stand by that. But in terms of this week's weather, might be one of the better days of the week, believe it or not. And that's because temperatures are set to soar. And well, today kind of offers our last bit of relief from those high temperatures before things really heat up. Right now in Spokane, we're at 59. Coeur d'Alene sits at 60. Sandpoint 55. 57 in Moses Lake and 68 there in Wenatchee. That's just as we start things out. We'll see a little bit of wind throughout the day. Wind gusts up near 15 miles per hour at times. And air quality staying around moderate and likely going to remain there tomorrow as well. But we will see at times a little more smoke build in as we get a more northerly flow. That will usher in some of the smoke from wildfires burning up in Canada. You can see that northerly flow or clouds moving from the top to the bottom of your screen. Those partly cloudy skies are going to take us into the day. I think we wind up seeing a little more sun throughout. And that's before temperatures rise. Excessive heat watch in place Wednesday to Saturday. That's for temperatures really climbing to just miserable levels once again. So today is kind of the last day of a break from that. We'll climb into the upper 80s later this afternoon, and then things really start heating up as we get into the second half of the week.
Well, COVID cases are increasing here in the inland Northwest, and health experts are saying it's because of the Delta variant.
Yeah, so in an effort to slow the spread of the virus, Washington Governor Jay Inslee announcing a new vaccine mandate. Nicole Hernandez joins us now this morning. Nicole, who is required now to have the COVID vaccine in the state?
Yeah, that's right, guys. So there's this new list of people and workers who are now going to be required to have the COVID-19 vaccine by mid-October. And I want to give you a look at exactly who's involved in that list. So take a look here. You can see on your screen. First off, all public employees for state cabinet agencies must be vaccinated. This also includes state contractors. Second, all public or private healthcare workers in Washington, plus workers in long-term care facilities. The new mandate does not apply to separately elected state leaders or their employees. Those are people like the Attorney General's office, but those offices largely are actually requiring vaccines on their own. It also does not apply to K-12 schools or higher education. Now, for the people that it does apply for, workers will need to be fully vaccinated by October 18th. Employers are responsible for making sure their workers are vaccinated, and if employees refuse, they can be fired. Governor Inslee said with the Delta variant threatening the state's recovery, the time for wavering on vaccines is over.
You know, it's understandable, I think, that some have been hesitant up till now. It's understandable they would ask questions about this vaccine. It's a new vaccine, by the way. But now we have had over 300 million people take this vaccine safely. Over 165 million Americans are already successfully vaccinated. This vaccine has now been arms for over a year, safely and effectively. We need folks.
Now, Inslee said that this is all under his emergency pandemic authority. At the moment, though, he is not issuing any new mask mandates. We were able to speak with spokespeople from both Spokane County and the city of Spokane, and they say that at this point, they're not considering any vaccine mandates for local government employees. Live in Spokane, I'm Nicole Hernandez.
Well, of course, we want to make sure that you are getting more to every story, so we've made finding more information on these vaccine mandates even easier.
Yeah, so if you would like more information on the vaccine mandate, you can text us the word vaccine to 509-448-2000. We'll send that link right to your phone.
Well, the United Nations released their climate change report yesterday, so we're breaking it down into 3 things you need to know after the break.